Shalom. I'm Rabbi Arthur Waskow. I'm director of the Shalom Center, and I want to share with you some further thoughts about Tisha B'Av, the midsummer day when in Jewish tradition there is mourning, grief, and a sense of transformation around the destruction of the ancient temples in Jerusalem. There's another video you might want to check, and in fact, if you check it, you'll see that I'm wearing black and a black and white yarmulke, a kippah, rather than this rainbow. And in fact, that was not just casual, it was a real choice. Because the tradition teaches that Tisha B'Av, this day of grief, is indeed also a day of transformation. The way in which the rabbis thought that was that they said the Messiah was actually born on Tisha B'Av, even though not yet apparent in the world, because the world wasn't ready to do what needed to be done, but born. So hope, the possibility, the vision, born. So as I said in the other discussion of Tisha B'Av, in our generation, it's the earth itself that is the sacred temple that is in the midst of being destroyed. And it's the earth itself that we need to bring not only hope as an emotion, but much more important, hope as an action to save our mother, the earth. In Jewish tradition, as well as in that English phrase, Mother Earth, the earth represents the feminine aspect of God. It's the embodiment of the Shekhinah, the feminine aspect of God. So what does it mean to move from grief to transformation? At the end of the book of Lamentations, which is in Hebrew called Echa, there's a verse that goes like this. First in English, then in Hebrew. If you, the wind, you might say even the hurricane of change, if you, the breath, wind, hurricane, spirit of change in the world, will turn us in a new direction, then we will turn ourselves. Then we can make our own days, our own generations, full of life as our days were long ago. Which doesn't mean give us back the good old days. It means give us anew the freshness, the vigor, the vitality, the life that we have known in the past. This may seem really hard to absorb in the midst of the great oil eruption gusher in the Gulf of Mexico, and in the midst of droughts, unprecedented droughts in Central Africa, in the midst of mountains being smashed and destroyed in West Virginia. How can we turn ourselves? How can the breath of life, even coming as a hurricane, turn us? The verse goes in Hebrew, Ashivenu, Ashivenu, Ya Elecha, V'na Shuva, V'na Shuva, Chadesh, Chadesh, Yameinu Kekedem. You can almost visually and physically, your muscles feel how a great wind might at first feel destructive and then turn you to point in a new way. For us, pointing in a new way doesn't mean just, it can't mean just imagining a messianic birthing time that is stored away. For us, it has to mean action. And what can those actions be? For Jews and for people of any spiritual depth, religious commitment, ethical vision, what it should mean this summer and for the next generation of human life. It should mean taking our commitment to the earth really seriously. Some people say, well, it's our own fault things are going so badly. We're addicted to burning coal. We're addicted to burning oil. It's our fault. But addictions usually have drug lords that push them. And in this case, big oil, big coal, BP, the Massey Coal Company, which was so careless about safety that it killed a couple of dozen of its workers. BP, which not only killed almost a dozen of its own workers aboard that rig, but is killing life, wildlife, and a whole way of life on the Gulf Coast. We need to confront those powers. They're like modern versions of Pharaoh. And we need to confront them. We need to confront them like the civil rights movement confronted segregation. Non-violently, but vigorously with commitment. We need to gather on a day like Tisha B'Av, or maybe on the Sunday right before, at the United States Capitol, which keeps kowtowing to big oil and big coal. We need to gather at the headquarters of BP and Massey Coal. We need to gather on the shores of the Gulf Coast and in the mountains of West Virginia to say, no, we, the people, just as people and the earth confronted Pharaoh in that archetypal story, 3,000 years old now. No, we will turn ourselves and the earth in a new direction. We need to be going to members of Congress and saying there needs to be a kind of climate bill that does not have all sorts of lollipops in it for coal, for oil, for the nuclear industry, for the banking industry. It has to be simple, clear, direct. It has to put a cap on the emissions of carbon dioxide and methane from American society, because we do more per capita than any other society in the world to heat the world, not just to warm it, but to heat it, to scorch it. We need to say there needs to be a law that sets a cap, that sets a fee for emitting carbon dioxide, and then returns the money from that fee to middle class and working class Americans, to everybody actually. It works out, it would be about $1,000 a year, which would more than pay the increased energy costs from carbon energy. We need to increase the cost of carbon-based energy so that people will use less and less and less and less of it. And we need to use that money to support the folks who shouldn't be charged for the results of these terrible corporate misdirections, and to make new sorts of energy, wind energy, solar energy available. That may sound like politics, but it's rooted in the deepest spiritual teachings of our traditions. And it's rooted in, oh, great wind, hurricane, spirit of life, turn us in a new direction.